All right, so we're here today with Tim Vanderwecken of TCV Knifeworks. And today is a super exciting day because it's the unveiling of a knife that Tim has made that I get to have, and it's super exciting. A little backstory on that. It was quite a few months ago. Like I've known Tim for quite some time, and I've known that he makes knives. And in the last so many years, he's really taken it to the next level. It's really become quite a thing. And so in a conversation that we had recently, we started talking about bushcraft knives. And the conversation went back and forth, which led us to this day right here, which is the unveiling of a knife. And so I've seen the knife in photographs, but I haven't put my hands on it yet. I haven't touched it. I haven't smelt it. I haven't kept it beside my pillow at night or anything like that. But I'm super excited. You might be able to tell. And so happy to see that. And I guess, yeah, we'll just go with that. Let's have a look. All right, look at that. Awesome. So the sheath, everything was, you built all of it, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Cool. So let's just take it out and have a look. Now here, oh, I just wait. Ah, look at that. Awesome. I don't own a Damascus knife. This is going to be the first. So super cool. All right, cool. Awesome. So how long did it take to put a knife like this together? How many hours would you estimate?
Oh, it's a little hard to say. For me, even making a bar of steel like that probably takes 10 to 12 hours.
10 to 12 hours, yeah.
I would have probably had, when I get it in billet form, it's probably enough for 2 to 3 knives.
Yeah.
But to get the steel workable like that takes about that.
Okay.
And then the finished product, probably, I estimated 25 to 30 hours all.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Cool. How many knives have you made over the years?
Hard to say.
Hundreds?
Hundreds, yeah. And you're right. In the last number of years, the last 8 or 9 years, actually, I was really able to do more forging. Yeah. Which is a whole different thing again. And yeah, no, it's been quite exciting.
Okay, awesome. So here's my thoughts is we're going to zoom in because this video is about this knife and learning why it is what it is and the features and kind of some of the things to do with this knife. So we're going to zoom in on that. But I also want to spend a bit of time at the end of the video just to show Tim's shop off here a little bit, some of the equipment that he has, and so that you can find out how you too could have an opportunity to get your hands on a beauty like this too. Let's first start with the starting place is probably the metal, I would think, and it goes metal, handle, and then sheath, right?
Yeah.
So the metal of this, what can you tell us about that? What's the process? Where does that, what kind of metal is it, and how do you put it together? How do you make it look so elaborate and beautiful like that?
The process of making a layered steel or Damascus steel, I guess you might call it, is you start with 2 different steels that are similar in structure, but one has 2% nickel. Mm-hmm. So they're layered alternately, and then they're welded together in a forge at about 2200 degrees Fahrenheit. Mm-hmm. And then this is about 300 layers, which means I would have started with about 25 layers, drawn it out, cut it in 5, and you build up a layer count that way. So, and once the layer count is achieved, then it's drawn out into a billet, and then the profile of the knife would be cut out from that.
Okay, awesome. Wow, that sounds pretty scientific, eh? Does it take a lot of study to figure out how to do that, or did you start just by winging it at the beginning, or how did that play out?
I started out pre-internet, so there's a lot of reading up on in magazines, trade magazines, Blade magazine, and Knives Illustrated, and that. Yeah. They give a lot of technical advice. Yeah. Of course, with the internet, with YouTube, there's a lot of information. Sure. Once you have the interest. Yeah. So, yeah, that's.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about the shape of this knife and how did you decide on that? I noticed that it's a full tang, right? So the metal goes right through to the back. Yeah. And it's got a bit of a finger slots there, I guess, and then right to the end and a constant curvature. I think we might have talked about that. Or yeah. So what else as far as design features when you look at building this knife? What were you thinking of with regards to that?
Mainly the the information that you gave me, for the most part, there's that instructional video from, I can't remember the gentleman's name, that was the attributes of what he thought would be a really good knife. So there's a long sweep up to the point. It's very straight on the back. It's a little lighter than some bushcraft knives. Mine is tapered right to the spine. A lot of them are not. Right. So what that does, it's a little bit more for fine work. A knife for batoning and that sort of thing would tend to be a little bit heavier on the spine. But it and the shape actually is designed. You can use it. You can use it in a variety of different ways.
Sure.
Right. So that basically.
And what about the edge then? About the grind, the particular type that you got there with? So there's hollow grind, there's Scandy Grind. So what made you decide to go with that? Or?
Well, this is a flat grind. For the most part, it shows off the layering of the steel better. I guess I was showing off a little bit. I don't know, but that's the biggest thing. If you grind short into the bevel, it changes the pattern. Right. So my knives typically I grind the bevel all the way to the spine. Right. But if you want a knife that's a little bit for heavy use, you would put a little bit different grind on that.
Right. So truthfully, to me, like what I'm so excited about is it's Damascus and it has all these wonderful patterns in it. And what I think you're saying is by having that thick at this end and slowly beveling to the thinner end, then that's what brings out kind of the beautiful aspects of it and the layers, right? So is each one of those a different layer of steel and so every single change in contour, I guess you could call it, to me they look like contours on a contour map, right? So
the brighter steel, like you see some, you got a darker contrast and a lighter. The lighter steel has the nickel in it.
Okay.
And after the layers, I should explain that. After the layers are welded together, the knife is ground and it's heat treated. Which by heat treating I mean it's brought up to a critical temperature and quenched in a quenching medium to bring it back to to harden the blade is what it is.
Right.
Once that's done, then it's dumped into ferrochloric acid, and that erodes the steel at different rates, and that's why you get the contrast in the pattern.
Okay, awesome. I think I've seen on your social media posts, it almost looks like you're able to control that pattern somewhat, right?
Absolutely.
So what would examples of patterns be like? Just you gave names to some of them on your social media posts?
I can, There's different processes actually. This is you make it's more of a random pattern. So the layers are the pattern is dictated just by the way the layers are formed. What I like to do as well is called mosaics, where you make a bar of steel and so the bar of steel runs this way, but the grain runs this way. So you cut it into pieces and you flip them all up on end, and expose all it's similar to a cutting board, like the end grain of a cutting board.
Okay.
And if you understand that principle, then you're able to manipulate the pattern in countless different ways.
Do you have a chunk of something here? I'm putting you on the spot, maybe like a chunk of a pattern that you've got completed or something like that, just to show the difference in the two here?
I'm not sure if you can see that. No, probably not.
Well, that's like diamonds.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's another
Bring
piece
it a
there
little
too.
closer.
Okay. I know there's a lot of shots of the different patterns that you've been experimenting with on your Instagram.
It's sometimes hard to see, so I'll move it around so it catches the light a bit.
Yeah.
Dale, can you move your piece around a little?
Yeah, like that.
Not the knife, the piece.
Oh, the piece that I had here. Yeah, you bet. Yeah.
There we go.
So
Yeah.
the principle is the same in terms of heat and cohesion of the metals, but you're able to manipulate the patterns in multiple different ways.
Well, that is awesome. So in the bushcraft kind of a community that I'm involved with all the time, we always talk about a Scandy Grind, and that's not like it's got to be Scandy or nothing, right? I'm not in that camp. I'm in I like knives and I appreciate them, and I'm happy to to try and the thing I'm trying to figure out already as I look at this is, does this become a collector heirloom that you pass down to your kids? Or does this become something that I go out and I get my hands on it and I start going for it, you know, and working it? And I'm not sure what to do about that yet, so.
Well,
Yeah.
the beauty of Damascus steel or layered, it's a full carbon steel. So what that means is that it has no rust resistance, right? So
Right.
as you use it, it develops patina,
Yeah.
which enhances the color actually as it takes on.
Okay,
Like you
yeah.
cut tomatoes or you cut acidic food or whatever with it, it takes on a lot of the different shades. So it
Okay.
actually will accentuate the pattern. So
Okay.
they're definitely intended to be used.
So Damascus steel, durable edge, strong edge, or easy to sharpen, or how does both of those? Yeah.
These are Rockwell at about 58 Rockwell,
Okay,
which
yeah.
is decent. It's not so hard that you can't field sharpen it, but yet
Yeah.
it has good edge retention.
I'm hoping at some point to do a video or at least show off some of your sharpening jigs and things. I'm seeing stuff all around the shop that is, it's like candy. I'm looking around and admiring it, and I'm wondering, this edge here, do you have a certain degree that you settled on?
17
there, or
degrees.
17 degrees? Okay,
The
perfect.
sharpening is such a personal thing,
Yeah.
right? So I take it to a point, but everybody has their own method
Yeah.
that they've achieved over years of practice. So
Sure,
I
yeah.
respect that too.
Sure.
I mean, my knives are sharp, but they you know, some people can have their own way of doing it too.
Sure.
So,
What about the handle? Let's look at that now.
the handle is multi-layer. So the outer layer is a red cedar. It's a stabilized red cedar, and then the inner layer it's contrasted with African bloodwood. And it was just a little bit of a different idea I had. The problem with the, well, not the problem. What's good about the stabilized wood in general is that it doesn't shrink,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So it allows it to not crack or pull
Yeah.
away from the knife or anything like that. And you can use wood that are typically quite unstable, like burl.
Yeah.
Right. Typically, it doesn't make a good handle because it's fairly brittle. But with the stabilization process, it allows you to use it.
I asked you the question just the other day on Instagram. What does stabilized mean? What's that process? So do you do that yourself, or do you have somebody do that for you?
No, I have a friend of mine in Calgary. His name's Matthew. He and others around too, but he does my stabilizing for me.
Okay.
And it's basically just done in a vacuum chamber, where you put you have a resin in this vacuum chamber, and you put your wood in there, and you draw it into a vacuum, and it pulls the resin right into the pores of the wood. No, I'm not a scientist or anything, but
The
it has
days
to
of
do with-
hockey sticks for handles are gone.
what it allows is it allows you to use wood that's not practical for it, really.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
but still has nice characteristics.
Right. Yeah. So.
And you
Yeah.
can put dye in it or whatever.
Yeah.
It helps too. So
And what did you say on the wood in the innermost layer there?
well, that's bloodwood.
Bloodwood.
Yeah.
I don't even know what bloodwood is. What's bloodwood?
It's from Africa,
Yeah.
and it's a fairly straight grain wood, but it is a very red,
And beautiful,
dark
right?
red color.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
I
Awesome.
was looking for a bit of contrast.
Yeah. And the 3 rings that we have there.
Well, from my reading and my research, that allows you the ability to, if you want, to lash it to the end of a stick.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that would it gives it more use.
You
Or
bet. So-
put lanyard or like paracord through it or
Yeah.
that sort of thing. Well, we talked about Scandy Grind, and I think the main reason why that's in your area of interest is for strength. It's my understanding. It allows more versatility. Is that right? Or
Well, I guess a couple of things is, my mentor, Morris Kohansky, he often used to say that a good bushcraft knife is a pry bar that can shave wood,
okay.
right? And so it comes down to, one of the other things he used to say is your knife is, one of the main reasons for having a knife when you go out into the woods is to start fires. Because when push comes to shove and the forest is wet and you're at your last ditch effort in a completely saturated forest to actually get a fire going, one of the saving methods of fire lighting is to shave a tree past the wet wood till you get to the innermost dry wood and then shave it up into feather sticks. And so the Scandy Grind is nice because it's got a big flat bevel on there and you can lean it against there like a razor blade and just pull these elegant feathers off. So that's one aspect of it. And I'm sure I don't know all of them. The other one is that a Scandy Grind is really easy to sharpen because you just have to be able to lay the bevel down on your sharpening stone and then just follow that bevel consistently. And that's another bonus for field sharpening if you're working it in the field. So, but it doesn't mean you have to have, a bushcrafter has to have a Scandy Grind, right? I know a lot of people that walk around without the Scandy Grind and it's fine. So, yeah. So no big deals there. That's super awesome and super cool. Now, let's move to the sheath. Let's talk about the sheath. So, yes, this is your work as well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cowhide, 8-ounce cowhide,
Yeah.
6 to 8, I guess.
Yeah.
No, it's just I've experimented with many different patterns, especially with where it hooks onto the belt.
Yeah.
This one I found very secure. I've tried the ones that I sewed on the back or riveted.
Yeah.
They seem to come loose.
Yeah.
Right. So this one is integral. It's built right into the sheath.
Yeah.
It's wet formed around the blade to kind of give it character.
Yeah.
That's just for looks.
Yeah.
I felt there was too much plain leather there, so I just put a little whoopee on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the snap, actually I don't do every time, but I felt with what you want to put it through, I don't want you to lose it,
Great.
fall out of there. So
Yeah.
and yeah. So
Cool.
there-
I notice in here, there you've got a little logo right in there.
Yes.
Okay, there's a
Yeah.
cool little knife in there.
Show it up to the camera.
It
Does that show
may not show up that well just because it's
Twist it a
the
little.
towards you there?
Let me see if I can get it.
I'll just twist a bunch of different
Oh,
directions. Yeah?
Yeah, and now up to the light a little bit.
Like that.
There, I think we got it. There we go.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, and
it
the
can be hard to see.
the
just with
patterning is
pattern
there, right? Yeah.
But
Okay.
that's stamped in before the heat treat.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
have a stamp.
And then here too, right? TCV Knifeworks. Awesome. Is there like a stiffener, or that's just another layer to give it some spacing for the
Yeah.
outside edges?
Give it some spacing as well, so that so that the blade doesn't cut the stitching. So there's another band of leather in between there, so that
Right,
as you
right.
over the years, it doesn't cut through the stitching of the sheath.
Well, right now I love the weight of it. It doesn't feel heavy in the hand. I have a couple other knives. As soon as you pick them up, I like to think that I know a lot about the type of knife that I use all the time. And usually I can tell when I pick it up right away just by the weight and the feel. And like it's almost an instant thing. It's like, yeah. And maybe I don't always voice that. If someone hands me a knife and they say, here, try that, and I put it in my hand, back in my head I'm going, ugh, I wouldn't like this knife. I may not say that. But what I'm getting at is I'm saying that right off the bat, I have that feeling like, yeah, this is great. I could work all day long with that without it fatiguing my hand. And I also really like, one of the things that's really important to me is I like to be able to advance my hands up like this. And I like to get in and do the finer work. And that's really no problem. I just, right off the bat, I can feel that I can move up and down the blade and feel comfortable and safe. And that I can get a lot of work out of that. So those are two of my own little things that I look for right when I first grab a knife for the first time. So yay, big check marks on that. That is awesome.
I find with a handle that's a little bit flatter it makes it easier to index, right? So you know,
Yeah.
especially if you got gloves on, or your hands are cold.
You know where it's at.
You know where it's at.
Yeah,
It
right.
makes it
Or if
easier
it's,
to,
even getting a little dark or whatever, but yeah, you have gloves on like you say, you know exactly where that is, right? Okay, I see what you're saying there. There's no question that which on right off the bat, even without looking at it. So cool. Well, I'm excited, super excited, awesome. Well, so let's just talk really quick about TCV Knifeworks. So what can you do for other people as far as that goes? Courses or make a custom knife or like what? This is your thing. So it seems to me you go all over the place. You're making all kinds of things.
can't focus, yeah.
Not you can't focus. Yeah.
I like to make usable tools. Like
Yep.
I've been asked to make some a little bit outlandish things, and I've shied away from that. I prefer to make tools.
Yeah.
In whatever form that is. Mostly what I make is 3 to 4 inches long, which I find practical.
Yeah.
I like some art in it.
Yeah.
I always say life's too short for an ugly knife.
Yeah, right on.
But that's what I prefer. I prefer people to use my knives. Sometimes people have said to me, "It's too nice to use," and I go, "Oh, I missed the mark there." So
Yeah. Okay.
I like it when they're used.
Yeah. So people can come to you and take a course, or they can.
I have done some weekend forging courses.
Yeah. I think you did a dad and son one a while back, and yeah,
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. Usually a Saturday and then a part of a Sunday.
yeah, yeah.
I also take orders. I have some stock, and
Yeah.
I take orders. Some people, often what happens is people say, they bring me 2 knives. They say, I like the handle of this one and the blade of this one. Can you make
Right.
one? You know,
Okay.
And that's kind of a neat project.
Sure. Yeah.
I've done some work where people have had some wood that was off the farm, or was something that's sentimental, or even metal for that matter. I've taken some metal off a piece of equipment that's important to somebody, and I've formulated that into steel.
Okay.
So there's different things I can do.
Yeah.
I've also refurbished a lot of older knives.
Sure. Yeah.
Like if somebody has an heirloom and they want it restored or spruced up a bit, or even another one made based on that pattern. Those are things I like to do. I like stories behind
Okay.
the work as well. But,
And this isn't full time. I mean, you're a busy person just like the rest of us and stuff.
Yeah.
So this is a passion for you, obviously a passion business, and yeah. So you kind of fit it in when you can, I guess. And,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Well, let's take a quick look, because you would not believe it. It's hard for you to probably see it on the camera, but you would not believe it. There's like 2 garages just full of really cool things in this place. And we'll do a real quick tour in hopes that down the road, perhaps we can do maybe a more in-depth video on one component of it, on the Damascus, or just on the sharpening, or like people always want to know about sharpening. I always want to know about sharpening techniques, and I see belt sanders here that I'm pretty excited to learn more about and stuff. So yeah, let's just walk through and really quick just look at some of the stuff. So what do we got right here, right off the bat?
This is a surface grinder that I've modified to put a belt on there, and I use that when making Damascus, especially the intricate patterns,
Yeah.
where they have to be perfectly parallel to get proper welding. So this is there's a magnetic bed on here that moves back and forth, and then the belt goes up in thousandths of an inch. Right, so it makes a horrendous amount of dust, but it's quite a nice machine.
Yeah, okay, awesome. What do we got right here?
Your old bandsaw, for especially it's a bit bigger because I needed to make accurate cuts.
Yeah.
Like when I'm making my patterns, I need to have cuts that are accurate, so when they overlap, they make a good weld.
Yeah.
For lack of a better thing, but also too anytime I need to cut steel, of course it does a good job for that. So.
Wow, cool. And then here we've got some anvils and some vices.
I have an addiction to anvils, so I do have a few of them.
Yeah, right on.
But
Awesome.
they all have a story to tell too.
Yeah.
It is kind of the heart of blacksmithing and bladesmithing.
Look at this thing, eh? Where did you find all this stuff?
Auction sales,
Okay.
but thanks to Forged in Fire, the cost has gone way up.
Yeah, yeah. So moving along, look at this thing here. So
These are mechanical power hammers. So basically, this one is over 100 years old, and that one was built in the 80s. And they're basically on an eccentric, so as the motor spins around, it draws the hammer up and down quite rapidly. And then this is the actuator, so you would have the work in your hand, and you would apply the clutch with your foot.
okay, yeah.
And then you have different dies under there, and you can, it makes them flat very quick.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. And then this is also one, or?
Yeah, that's
okay.
the same thing, it's just much heavier.
Step on
So that would be a 25-pound hammer,
Yeah.
and this would be 100 pound.
Yeah.
So it's capable of 3 strikes per second, so it really hits hard.
Okay. For what purpose? What is the process that it's hammering? I understand what hammering is, but what are you putting in there and the objective you're trying to reach?
Well, like when you make a billet of steel, it's usually between 4 and 5 pounds of steel, and it's rough 6 inches by 1.5 by maybe 5 inches.
Yeah.
So as you weld it together, you got to draw it out.
Yeah.
You got to make it long and uniform. So that's what this would do. It would very quickly it makes it into a long billet, and then you can cut it up and then keep doing that as many times as you want. But the other alternative is pound it by hand on the anvil with a hammer. But it's way too hard on you.
Yeah.
So it just makes that process go much quicker.
Right, this one here says it's the main squeeze. I like that.
It's a press. It's a 50-ton hydraulic press.
Yeah.
Basically, the dies are interchangeable depending on what I want to patterns or shapes I want to make.
Yeah.
So then you would put the hot steel in there, and then you hydraulically move it up and down to manipulate steel.
Okay.
It does it differently than a power hammer. This, because it's a press, it's a lot more controllable.
Yep.
So especially if you're trying to make predictable patterns,
Yeah.
you would use a press.
And this, it looks like you modified some of this, or did you get it like this?
I had it built.
You had it built? Okay, yeah, because it looks like new cylinder up here and, new hoses, but I'm thinking maybe some of it's older or what?
No, it was built for me. I had a basic design in my mind, and I had a guy build it for me.
Amazing. All right, let's go look at this over here. Okay, cool.
So I have a bunch of different forges. This is the one I primarily use. It's propane heated with, it's fueled with propane.
Yeah.
And then the range hood collects the heat in the CO, so I don't hurt myself or anybody else.
Yeah.
And then I have another forge in the back, and that one I would use for welding. That one's capable of much higher temperatures.
Yeah.
It actually has 3 burners, and it has assisted air as well, so I force air into it, and it gets very, very hot.
Okay, yeah.
Different processes, what I need it for.
You enjoy working the forge and, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody, we were talking about that the other day. We were talking about like welders, how they would take, welding is a lot like carpentry in many ways, because you take bars of steel and you build with it. Whereas forging is like working, it's more like pottery, because you take steel and you manipulate it like clay. Mind you, it's a lot hotter and that sort of thing, but so the process is different in that way, but I like it. I do enjoy that.
Awesome.
Way that steel moves.
Yeah, let's keep moving up here. Now we go upstairs to the upper. All right, okay, yeah, so underneath here.
Well, the metal lathe, yeah, it's more toys.
Yeah, I would say so, yeah.
I'm not a machinist, I just enjoy working with metal.
Yeah.
So this I would use for, not so much for knives, but more for making jigs and making tooling, actually. Do a lot of tool making on this thing. So that's what I would use that for.
Yeah, and then back here, it looks like, is this another forge back here?
Yeah, I have another forge, the same principle. This one I don't use as much. It runs on compressed air.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't have a compressor big enough to run it.
Yeah.
So I don't use that one very often.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, the sharpening, the whetstone for sharpening.
Yeah. Yeah, awesome.
Little mini wood lathe.
Yeah.
Just.
And this is a wood project. Does this have anything to do with knives, or is this just a fun thing?
No,
that
we're making a coffee table.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Like I say, I'm easily distracted.
Look at this belt wall. We'll call this the belt wall. Look at that. Awesome.
I have, that's, the metal is shaped with belt grinders, so I have mainly a 2 by 72 inch belts, two different grinders. They're a ceramic belt designed for steel.
Yeah.
So they turn steel into dust very quickly.
Oh my goodness. See, that's what, I could probably sit and just have you coach me on how to make a knife sharpening jig, right? So my issue is that in the courses that we teach, we wear out a lot of those little inexpensive Mora knives with the Scandy Grind, and we do workshops with them, and people brutalize them. And I need a way to get them back into shape fast, right? And I've tried a bunch of things at home without power, and I know I need to have power, but I don't know that I need something this fancy. So.
No, a little 1x40 or 1x30 works really nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. These ones, like when I put the edge on there, I set the edge, but it's the owner has to maintain it.
Yeah.
Right. If it gets too far gone, then with every knife I make, I'll redress it. I'll rebevel it if I have to.
Okay.
If it gets damaged in some way.
And you said 17 degrees for this particular knife?
That's what
That's what you like to stick with then?
Yeah, pretty much. I think for a chopper you might go a little bit more aggressive, but a little bit more blunt. But it depends what the knife is for.
Okay, we got knife blanks here. These are patterns for some of the knives that you have worked on or hope to work on?
Yeah, there's just over the years. There's some that the more recent ones are I've done in steel.
Yeah.
But they're it's nice to keep a record because sometimes people say I like the one you made for my uncle, and then I say okay.
Yeah, you need
Right? So I needed some way to have at least an outline or a pattern. So.
This looks like some wood here.
I'm working on a few pieces. Yeah, this is a knife that it's actually for an upcoming charity auction, but I'm working on these will be the bolsters, right?
Yeah.
The handles, right?
Yeah.
These are the bolsters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of rough right now, but working on that. This is an example of Damascus steel, but you can't see the patterning because it needs to be acid etched. So it looks just like a mono steel.
Yeah.
Right, but it's not until you put it in the acid that you can see the pattern. You can see a little bit of the pattern on that end.
On that end, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's another example. It's you can see the layering here.
What is that thing back there I'm seeing? This looks like this is a easy bake oven times 10 or something.
This is my heat treating oven.
Okay.
So it's computer. Well, it's got a controller on the side, and then basically, whatever temperature. Every metal has a different temperature to be heat treated at. So you can program that in there, and then once it's reached that temperature, then I have some quench oil in there.
Yeah.
Most knives are quenched in oil. Some are quenched in air. It all depends on the type of steel.
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. I think we've gone around.
Not
more or
in water
less.
like the old blacksmith shops.
Some do in water, yeah, but that's
Yeah.
a certain kind of steel. Yeah.
Okay.
If you put it in the incorrect medium, it'll shatter.
Oh.
Careful.
Cool. What about here? Actually, here's a table I would like to look at here. Now that I think about it.
This is different kinds of wood. That's a wood burl that I picked up. It's just got some interesting wood in there.
It's so dense and hard, it almost feels like it's not wood, like it's metal. Wow.
It's I think it says brown mallee. That's the kind of wood.
Brown mallee.
I don't write
Okay.
it on there because I can never remember what it was. But
Okay, yeah, and so look at this guy here. You see, there's some kind of neat patterning here. I'll take the dust off of there. Does that show up? It's kind of like a swirl, eh?
Gorgeous.
Yeah, that is neat. Yeah.
there's some works in progress. I call them my orphans because I started them and never finished them.
Here's another
So I have to
one.
work on them again.
Okay, yeah, look at
Some
that.
pattern.
Some neat patterns there. Awesome.
This is actually how your knife started there, Dale.
Okay.
It starts on a piece of paper,
Yeah.
and then I draw it out. So I like the proportions, and then I'll make it in wood, so that I can feel it in the hand,
Yeah.
and then work from there.
Okay, that's,
So,
yeah, make it in wood first.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. And is this the treated wood? That's how it comes
Oh.
to you after?
That's the example of that bloodwood.
That's bloodwood.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have some of that stabilized. Birch. It's a birch root ball.
Okay.
Right at the base of the tree.
Where it's
Some-
really dense and really hard, I would think, eh?
And then he's dyed it, so he's dyed it green, just
Yeah.
to give it a different. You can see some of the resin on there yet. It's nice stuff.
Yeah.
To work with.
Yeah. How do you shape it?
It depends what I want. Like in the case of your knife, I would cut it in half and then I would flatten it, and then you make the side scales on that, you know, one on each side, and then glue and pin it together, and basically just with a bandsaw you cut out, and then done. The rest is done with the grinder, the sander.
With the grinder and a sander.
Yep.
Okay, so even though it's wood, it's not something that you would take a knife to and shape. It's more braiding and rubbing and grinding and that sort of.
It's pretty hard stuff. Like you can cut it.
Yeah.
You know, so it is workable without
doesn't
doubling your tooling. But with the beauty of this stuff is that it won't shrink.
Yeah. Once
Whereas
it's
a
on
lot
the
of times,
handle.
if you use real wood products, they pull away from the knife.
Sure. Yeah.
They can crack too.
Yeah, you experience that with knives that get loose after a while, right? Yeah. Awesome. Cool. Well, what a treat. I had no idea. It's the first time that I've been to the shop. And I had no idea that it was so like big and all the stuff that you got here. Like, this is more than just a weekend hobby. This is a real thing, eh?
The positive form of obsession is passion. That's what I tell Sarah.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Right on.
Contact info.
Okay, cool. Yeah, contact information. So if you want to get hold of Tim, or at the very least check out some of his beautiful work, then it's on Instagram. That's where I see all of your stuff. And is that your only platform that you're on, is Instagram? Yep. Or yeah, okay. Yep. So check Instagram, and it's TCV _ Knifeworks. Yep. Right? And that's where you'll find it. So
I'll get you there, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. And yeah, if you're thinking about a knife, or have questions about a knife, or want to talk knife, or want to take possibly a knife course, then just go on that Instagram page and go from there. Well, awesome. This is pretty exciting.
Cool.
I'm really grateful. Thank you so much. And
no problem at all.